Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight for our presentation, Flex IRA, Estate Planning for Your Retirement Accounts.
Hi there, my name is Mike Teramoto. I'm a Senior Trust Officer with BECU Trust Services. I've been here for about 10 years and have 20 years of experience in trust services.
And my name is Amy Zawilski. I'm a trust officer at BECU, and I have been here for a little over 4 years with about 20 years of experience in the financial industry. So a few quick housekeeping items for you before we get started with our presentation tonight. If you have questions, please type them into the chat and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Our contact information will be provided at the end of the presentation as well. And just a quick disclaimer that BECU Trust Services and the presenters are not attorneys. This presentation is not legal advice and it is intended for general information only. A quick overview of what we'll be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about estate planning briefly, individual retirement accounts, flex IRAs, and then give you some real life examples to see who could benefit from the flex IRA. Estate planning. Everyone should have a plan that allows you to stay in control of your income and your assets. An estate plan is important because it controls the who, when, and how your assets are distributed at the time of your death. We are not attorneys. We cannot draft documents for you, but we can make recommendations to local attorneys for you. And that attorney can provide you with guidance as to which estate planning documents are best for your particular situation. Documents that you may want to consider are a will and or trust, a durable financial power of attorney, a durable power of attorney for healthcare, and living wills and physician's orders. The importance of powers of attorney is that in case you're incapacitated, which could happen at any time, you need a plan in place so that someone can step in and pay your bills for you and make medical decisions on your behalf. So you're most likely familiar with IRAs or individual retirement accounts. There are two types tonight that we want to highlight, the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA. Traditional IRAs are pre-tax contributions. Distributions are fully taxable, and you must take RMDs, required minimum distributions, from these accounts starting at age 73, which just went up and increased as of 2023. Roth IRAs are after-tax contributions. Distributions are generally tax-free, and no RMDs are required from these accounts. Whoops. Hit the key too fast, sorry about that. With any retirement account, you need to designate your beneficiaries. It's very important that you have beneficiary designations on file for your retirement accounts. Retirement accounts are not controlled by wills or trusts. And most likely, if you have an account, a retirement account, you have an individual or individuals named as your beneficiaries on that account. This could be your spouse, your partner, your children, or grandchildren. And at your death, this could result in an inherited IRA for those beneficiaries. Aside from individuals, you can name a trust as long as you have a trust document creating that trust. You can name charities. You can also name your estate. So the Flex IRA is a little different than the traditional IRAs in that it's a combination of a trust and an IRA. The Flex IRA is a flexible product that can be a useful tool for integrating your estate plan with your retirement account. It can be traditional or a Roth IRA. The owner still retains full control and revocability, and the same IRS rules apply with regards to income tax, penalties for early withdrawals, and required minimum distributions. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble changing the slides. What makes the Flex IRA a little bit different than the traditional IRA is the ability to be flexible with your beneficiary designation and to add an additional layer of protection for your assets. It provides flexibility with regards to the beneficiary designation. So there are 3 different options with the Flex IRA for your beneficiary designations. You have the Flex Standard, which is the most common option that most people currently have if they have a retirement account. You can make, like, we'll say your spouse the beneficiary, and then that beneficiary has the ability to take the distributions whenever and however they want. They can stretch the IRA, they can take everything out at once. They have control over the distributions. The Flex IRA brings in 2 additional options for you. The Flex Protected Access, which is it limits the payouts of your IRA over 10 years or lifetime, and that's based on the applicable laws of the Secure Act. It allows you to name for successor beneficiaries, and it's very helpful in situations where there is a blended family, and we'll give descriptions of that, an example of that later on in the presentation. The third option is a flex trust, and that has IRA payouts that can go into an inheritance protection trust, a special needs trust, or a charitable trust with BECU Trust Services serving as corporate trustee. And Mike will describe that more in the next slide.
Great, thank you, Amy. So the Flex Trust is really part of the Flex IRA, so a flexible tool for your retirement assets, right? And so the 3 options with a Flex Trust as the designated beneficiary. First option is a special needs trust, right? This can be especially valuable for those beneficiaries that are eligible for government benefits that could include Medicaid, supplemental security income, SSI, could be a housing subsidy, could be other aid, right? A lot of those government benefits are means tested. And if a beneficiary received the inheritance of the IRA without the protection of the special needs trust, it's likely that that beneficiary could lose their government benefits. This is a great choice for those of you that have Roth IRAs, because the Roth IRA can pay into the special needs trust without having to worry about taxes, right? At BECU Trust Services, a significant and growing part of our business is administering special needs trusts. So you can have the peace of mind knowing that we can administer that special needs trust to provide the supplemental support for your beneficiary. The second trust, Flex Trust option, is an inheritance protection trust, right? This type of trust is drafted to meet the definition of what's called a see-through trust, which allows for the required minimum distributions to be paid out over 10 years or the beneficiary's lifetime if they happen to be an eligible designated beneficiary. That's a terminology that was invented, created a result from the Secure Act. Different types of beneficiaries are required to take required distributions over a varying schedule, depending on whether you're an eligible designated beneficiary or a non-eligible designated beneficiary. So this is an accumulation trust. It makes distributions to the beneficiary for their health, education, maintenance, and support as based on the discretion of the trustee, right? This can be, I'm sorry, distributions can also be made for efficient tax planning to the beneficiary. Anytime a distribution is being made from the inherited IRA to an inheritance protection trust, that generally is going to be a taxable distribution. To the extent that a trust passes out distributions to beneficiary, that can result in favorable tax treatment, and the trustee has discretion to make distribution decisions based on some of that information. Any remaining value that's in an inheritance protection trust goes to the remainder beneficiaries as named by you, the IRA owner. And this is also another great choice for those of you that have large Roth IRAs, as it eliminates the worry about taxation at the trust level. The third Flex Trust option is a charitable remainder trust. Funds go from an IRA to the charitable remainder trust free of taxes. The charitable remainder trust pays a 7% distribution over 20 years to your beneficiaries. Okay, as an example, a $500,000 charitable trust would pay out $35,000 a year, or almost $3,000 per month, to a beneficiary. This is subject to annual recalculations over the 20 years, and the distributions are generally going to be taxable to the beneficiary. But with the charitable remainder trust, the assets are invested and grow tax-free within the trust. After 20 years, the remainder that's in the trust goes to the charity or charities that you have pre-identified. Okay, this is an especially useful option for those that have, for those of you IRA owners that are concerned that their beneficiary may waste the IRA in a short period of time because as a result of the Secure Act, right? Your beneficiary generally needs to take those distributions over a shorter 10-year period. And this allows those distributions to be stretched out over 20 years. Okay, so let's go over some of the benefits of a flex IRA, right? First of all, it just creates a comprehensive estate plan for your IRA. In many cases, the IRA is a significant part of your total net worth, right? A lot of people have the value that's in their home. They have their IRA, their 401k, their retirement savings at work. And that really makes up a lot of the bulk of wealth of a lot of people out there. The IRA also can represent a lifetime of your hard work and sacrifices, right? Do you really want to see all of that savings wasted by your beneficiaries, or possibly ending up going to people that you don't even choose? Okay, as a result, you can use the Flex IRA to really provide a comprehensive plan that's flexible as your beneficiaries' needs, as your wishes change. You can easily make changes to your beneficiary designation using the Flex IRA. The Flex IRA, with it, you can designate who gets your IRA, in what amounts, and when. Okay, that's very different from a standard beneficiary designation that generally only allows you to control the who, right? And with a standard custodial IRA, you name a beneficiary, you name who gets it, and they have the ability to take an inherited IRA, they could take a full distribution of that amount and go have a great time, right? But by using the protected access option or the flex trust options, you can control the who, the what amount, and the when. Okay, using the protected access option, BECU Trust would be the trustee of the IRA. The beneficiary would receive distributions over their lifetime if they're an eligible designated beneficiary, right? That group includes spouses and those that are within 10 years of your age. That often includes maybe significant others, your siblings. It could also include your parents. A lot of times individuals are supporting their parents, and that's an often forgotten group of beneficiaries that could be real important for including as part of your estate plan. For most other beneficiaries, including your children, grandchildren, generally the payout is going to be limited to 10 years with a standard distribution, even including the protected access option. You as the IRA owner have the ability to decide if we, BECU Trust Services as the trustee, can make additional distributions from the IRA for the beneficiary's health, education, maintenance, and support. Anything that's left in the IRA at the death of the primary beneficiary, right, goes to successor beneficiaries that you have previously determined. That's just really important in blended family situations, as Amy mentioned earlier, that this allows you to really provide for a spouse that's maybe in a second marriage, while allowing your stepchildren not to have to worry about potentially being disinherited. In using this protected access option, the beneficiary receives a standard 1099-R, avoids the need for a separate trust tax return, which also is a value in saving money. The 3 flex trust options that I previously discussed, those also can allow you to control the who, the what, and the when. right? Really important options for certain individuals based on your desires and the needs of your beneficiaries. Additionally, the benefits of a Flex IRA, it can provide for your current spouse and children from a prior marriage, right? I mentioned that with blended families, I don't know how many of you are in blended family situations, right? When you have a blended family, what's the chances of there being 100% harmony amongst all of the children? Yeah, the step siblings, the step parents. Um, a Flex IRA with the protected access really gives you that control, allows you to provide for your current spouse without the fear of your children from a prior marriage being potentially disinherited, right? And allows them to enjoy a relationship without that fear of disinheritance. Um, let's see. Plans for incapacity, a really big benefit of the Flex IRA. Um, How many of you think that you'll escape this life without a period of incapacity? Odds are very few of you will, right? There'll be a period of your life where you're going to be facing some type of incapacity. As a result, planning for that possibility is really important, especially if you have a significant amount of money in your IRA. Under a typical custodial IRA, the agent under a durable financial power of attorney, if you have one, would be able to take full control of your IRA, could instruct the custodian to make distributions, would have the power potentially to change the investments, might even have the power to change beneficiaries. Without a durable financial power of attorney, it's likely a guardianship or a conservatorship would be required to be able to give the custodian, the IRA custodian, instructions regarding your IRA, including taking potential required distributions. Now, with a Flex IRA, you get to stay in control of your IRA by choosing to allow us, BECU Trust Services, to continue managing your IRA during a period of incapacity, and we can make distribution decisions for your benefit. There's no need to worry about the possibility of the beneficiaries being changed. There's no need to worry that your agent under a durable financial power of attorney, maybe that's your son or daughter, one of your children, might invest your IRA in something that you might not agree with. It could be Bitcoin, gold, who knows, any other speculative type of investment. Okay, another benefit of a Flex IRA is that it extends the tax advantages to succeeding generations. And that's basically by using the protected access or the Flex Trust options, it allows those distributions to be stretched out, right? With a standard beneficiary designation, the beneficiary could withdraw all the proceeds from the IRA immediately upon their getting control. You've worked a lifetime to build up the IRA savings. Many of you would hate to see all of that hard work and savings and sacrifice just go to waste in a few short years. Let's see. The IRA also has a benefit of providing for beneficiaries with special needs. I mentioned about the special needs trust option and the importance of leaving assets to any of your family members, loved ones, children, grandchildren that might have disabilities. Again, leaving them an IRA without the protection of this special needs trust could easily disqualify them from any benefits that they might currently be receiving or eligible for. Just a great solution for you to be able to provide for their supplemental needs without jeopardizing those government benefits. Another benefit is that a Flex Trust can provide significantly increased protection from creditors, right? Some of you may be aware that there was a recent Supreme Court decision that eliminated creditor protection for inherited and beneficiary IRAs. By using the protected access or the Flex Trust options of the Flex IRA, you can provide some of this creditor protection for your beneficiaries. And that could be especially useful if your beneficiaries might be facing a bankruptcy in their future, or if they are potentially subject to potential lawsuits, maybe because of their business that they run or their profession. And the last benefit that's listed here is reduced legal fees. Okay, we all know going to see attorneys to benefit from their services takes money. If the terms of the Flex Trust in our standard template document meet your estate planning needs and the needs of your beneficiaries, this can significantly reduce the cost of providing that protection for your beneficiaries, right? Also know that if our standard document doesn't exactly fit your needs, we're happy to work with you and your attorney to review and accept potential modifications to our standard document so that allowing it to better fit with your needs and the needs of your beneficiaries. Flex IRA, not necessarily always good. Well, and it depends on whose perspective you're looking at. One of the potential drawbacks of a Flex IRA is that the beneficiary loses the ability to control distributions. Well, that may be a good or bad thing. It's likely a good thing in the eyes of you as the IRA owner. Your beneficiary may see that as a drawback. The beneficiary also doesn't always have the ability to change beneficiaries, right? And again, it all depends on the perspective. Let's see. Other drawbacks. What does that say? Help me out.
Successor beneficiaries?
Successor beneficiaries. I can't read this. It's on my screen and it's too small. Amy, what's the second bullet?
Successor benefit, or the successor beneficiaries?
Oh yeah, the owner doesn't have, or the beneficiary doesn't necessarily have the ability to change successor beneficiaries, those that can receive any value of the IRA after the death of the primary beneficiary. After that, let's see. Oh, maximum account size, minimum account size. In our particular case, the Flex IRA is really available to those accounts that are of significant IRA values, generally $500,000 and above. The other drawback of a Flex IRA is that it's not offered by other financial institutions. This particular product and the different Flex options, the protected access, and the Flex Trust options really is a unique product that was developed by BECU Trust Services and Members Trust Company to really provide a great solution for our members and their retirement assets.
So let's talk a little bit now about who can benefit from the Flex IRA and have some real life examples. So Mike, if we have a member who's seeking incapacity protection, how can the Flex IRA be a benefit to them?
Sure, as I mentioned, it's everybody's potentially going to face incapacity, and this is a great solution for a lot of people. Many of you may have a durable financial power of attorney. If you don't, I encourage you to get that. But you might be comfortable with whoever you've named as a financial power of attorney for you, that they can pay your bills from your checking account, right? Maybe you have 10, maybe 20,000 in your checking account. But the question is, do you really feel comfortable with whoever you've named as a durable financial power of attorney to have control of your IRA? That could be $500,000, could be $1 million or more. Your agent under that durable financial power of attorney could close out your IRA that wherever it's at and could move it to their friend and investment advisor down the street, could change all of the investments, and could potentially even change the beneficiaries. That just for many people, many of you, that could be a scary situation. And so using a Flex IRA, you can take advantage of the incapacity provisions that would allow us, BECU Trust Services, to continue to manage the IRA make distributions on your behalf in the event of your incapacity.
That's a great option for people. So we've talked a little bit about a blended family, and we've mentioned that this could work for people in second or third marriages. How exactly would that work?
Yeah, blended families, such a common situation nowadays, and providing that confidence, that peace of mind for children that you might have from a prior marriage, um, just really important, right? In a second marriage, the IRA owner often wants to provide for your current spouse, right? If you were to pass away, provide for your current spouse with your IRA. That spouse would receive required distributions over their remaining lifetime under that protected access option. To the extent that your current spouse needs additional support um, for their health, education, maintenance, and support, we as the trustee can make those additional distributions. Upon that spouse's death, then any remaining value that's in the IRA would go to the beneficiaries that you have previously designated, right? That would be typically children from your first marriage. It could be all of the children from your blended family. It could be charities. It could be any beneficiaries that you have decided. But it really takes away the worry that if you were to pass away, your current spouse inherits your IRA. They happen to get remarried down the road. Um, your spouse then passes away, and what's in your IRA could end up in the hands of your spouse's next spouse. So just a real good way for you to be able to control your IRA and leaving it to the beneficiaries that you want it to go to.
I think that option would provide you with a lot of peace of mind knowing that your wishes were definitely going to be met.
Absolutely.
So last one really quickly. Who would you consider a financially inexperienced beneficiary, and how could this product be beneficial to them?
Sure. So financially inexperienced, oftentimes in a married situation, one of the spouses takes care of all the finances. The other spouse is really uninvolved and uninterested, right? So using the Flex IRA upon your death, it can ensure, assuming that you're the one that takes care of the finances, it can ensure that the IRA continues to be managed with our professional management. We would make distributions to your loved ones, your family members under that protected access option. Really provides that support for those couples where one person takes care of all the finances. But not only that, inexperienced beneficiaries could also include maybe your children. Maybe they're, for whatever reason, less than responsible than you'd like them to be, maybe because of drugs, alcohol, and gambling, right? Those types of issues just affect more and more people in our society. Um, by using the Flex Trust or protected access options, it can allow you to provide protection for that beneficiary that has those issues with drugs, alcohol, and gambling. That it'll allow the IRA to really stretch out that protection and provide for their future needs, and hopefully limit some of what they might use for those purposes.
Great. So let me just go over the disclosures once again, that this presentation is for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide specific legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney and or accountant for more specific advice. And then before we get to the Q&A, we just want to thank you for your time and for joining us late into the evening. And our contact information, our phone number, and our email are here on this slide, which I'm hoping we can leave up for you. And if you have any questions or there's anything we didn't cover tonight and we don't get to your question in the Q&A, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are happy to answer any questions you might have.
Good evening. I'm Linda Davenport. I'm your host this evening, and we actually do have some questions that came in. We actually have quite a few, so we'll see how many we can get through. But before this question is asked, because I know it probably will be, the squirrel behind me with the glasses is not a portrait of me. I know it may look like it, but is definitely not a portrait of me. I don't know who that squirrel is, but definitely not me. So now that I have your attention, because it is getting late into the evening, the most important part of a webinar, I think, are the questions, because oftentimes when somebody has a question, many people have the same question. So I'm going to read a question off to you, Mike and Amy, and see what kind of great answer that you have for this. And this actually came from a person by the name of Michael. So it says, when choosing a Flex IRA, does the existing IRA transfer to a new account, or is the existing IRA account status changed to a Flex IRA designation? If you need me to repeat, if you need me to repeat it, just let me know.
Yeah, I can take a stab at that. So the Flex IRA is really just a name that we have given our product here at BECU Trust Services. If you have an IRA somewhere else, any financial institution custodian, that IRA can be transferred to our custody and control, our management, using the Flex IRA document. So we have paperwork that would allow that transfer to take place. That former IRA account of yours would go ahead and be closed. You would have an IRA account with us. Now, IRS regulations allow an IRA account to be either a custodial IRA or a trust IRA. The vast majority of IRA accounts out there are what's known as custodial IRAs. In our shop, because we're a trust company, we can open up what's called a trust deed IRA, and that is what allows us to take this additional flexibility that we've offered as part of our product, and how we can step in as trustee upon your incapacity. And our beneficiary designation has the built-in trust and protected access options that really provide for that flexibility of the Flex IRA.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. So I have some other questions that I moved over here to the left of my screen. So next question is, my retirement funds are still with my employer 401k plan. Am I eligible to use the Flex IRA?
The Flex IRA isn't something that can be used with existing 401ks. What you would need to do is wait until you had the ability to either roll over the retirement account when you were no longer with the employer, or if you could do some sort of in-service withdrawal, you could take that money out and open up a Flex IRA. But it's not something that can be added to your existing 401k.
Great. Thanks, Amy. So this next one is kind of interesting. Kind of talking about dynamics of family. So this one says, I love my daughter. So that's good. But there is no way my son-in-law gets any of my money. How can the Flex IRA help me? I have a daughter too. I hope I don't ever have a son-in-law like that. So yeah, I love my daughter, but there is no way my son-in-law gets any of my money. How can the Flex IRA help me in that situation?
Sure. So under a standard beneficiary designation, you leave your IRA to your daughter. Your daughter could, in theory, commingle that, and that inherited IRA could be subject to a potential divorce settlement down the road, right? Using the protected access or any of the Flex trust options, it really provides the protection that you're looking for to ensure that that IRA of yours, when it's inherited by your daughter, doesn't get caught up as part of a divorce settlement that may occur down the road. So
that's great. So you
absolutely.
can protect it definitely from that son-in-law, right? That you're not a big fan of. All right. It could be daughter-in-law too. So I'm going to be equal opportunity here. All right. So the next question is, let's see if we have time. Yeah, we do. So the next question is, if I have multiple beneficiaries, can some receive their portion outright with others remaining in a flex IRA?
And the answer to that question is yes. You can designate your beneficiaries to receive different options. So if you have children, that would be just fine receiving the benefits outright. The money can go to them directly. If you have a child that needs special needs or that is on benefits and needs to be in a special needs trust, or if you want some sort of protection for them, you can choose different options for each beneficiary.
Thank you. I have a couple others that I'd like to try to get through if possible. So here's one. Let's see. What are the fees associated with the Flex IRA?
So the Flex IRA, if it's just a standard IRA, which it would be as long as you're not incapacitated or haven't passed away, our fee is 1% the value of the account. When you become incapacitated, it would move up to 1.15% for incapacitation, and for the Flex Trust Flex protection options, it will move up to 1.4% for a special needs trust, because that's a little more work, and it's a little more involved with government benefits and making sure we're not disqualifying the beneficiary from any of their benefits. So as long as you have capacity and you haven't passed away, it's just a standard 1%.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate that. And I think this is going to be the last question that we have time for. Let's see. What are my investment options with the Flex IRA?
Sure, I can take that one. So as a full-service corporate trustee, BECU Trust Services has a dedicated team of investment professionals that are responsible for managing the $4 billion in assets that we have responsibility for. As part of our investment philosophy, we use low-cost, exchange-traded index-style funds as the building blocks for our model portfolios. But to the extent that you have specific desires for a particular asset or something, we work with our clients. We develop a customized investment policy statement for each of our accounts, and each account is assigned a primary portfolio manager that's responsible for implementing the investment policies specific to your account, your wishes, together with our investment philosophy.
Thanks, Mike. I think that's all the time that we have for questions. I would just personally like to thank everyone for attending this evening. Again, if you have questions, I think Mike, Amy, you have put that contact information up earlier. We also have our information on the website. Mike, Amy, any final words for the attendees?
In my opinion, just estate planning is so important. Everybody should have their estate plan taken care of, wills, trusts, beneficiary designations, power of attorney documents. So important. You hope you'll never need them, but it's better to be prepared.
Amy?
Yeah, I agree with everything Mike said, and I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I know it's late in the evening, so we appreciate your time and hope we answered any questions that you have.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.